Hi everyone, I hope you're able to watch the video on all 8 steps of MAST together. Each of these videos is each of the steps one by one with some more details and theoretical framework on how these might be facilitated. The first one is consume. This is basically the step of intake, okay? And so one of the things that I'm going to talk about is input-output. When you consume, you're trying to get the foundation. When you walk into a room, the first thing you do is look around that room and try to get the large context of what's going on, and then you work your way into the details. This is what the first chapter is supposed to do in MAST methodology. When you take it in, you're trying to consume that chapter, take in the context of it, look around and see what it's about. You can't get the details without knowing what the surrounding elements are, and so that's what this step is supposed to do. There's a couple of theory pieces that go with it. Input-output hypothesis is the most important. And this is from Stephen Krashen and some of the research, but what comes in the brain and goes out of the brain is actually a function that promotes language, builds language, promotes memory, builds memory. It works with short-term memory, and it puts it in a holding tank. Okay, and so that's actually a variety of theories. And so what you have now is the context of a chapter in a holding tank. It's sitting there and people can draw from it. It's playing with their memory. And so it's basically saying you now have access to what the meaning in large scale of this chapter is. You took it in, and because you did the input and you're about to do the output in the next step, you have a holding tank. Now, the holding tank without the next step is about 5 to 7 minutes, okay? And so you actually do a 5 to 7 minute read, and then you have to do something next and take it to what would be called the clipboard to actually do something with it, and then later to the work table to actually do some translation with it. These are plays with long-term and short-term memory. Okay, and so the consume step is big picture. You do not need a lot to happen, but you can consider learner preference in this. I have seen people do the consume step with just straightforward reading, book in the face. The second I've seen is that they have to do an action or a movement. This is learner preference. Let them move around, let them walk around. Some need to read it out loud. Some want a partner to read. That's a little different and takes away time, but it's a learner preference and it's okay. What best activates their brain to take in the context of that chapter? Okay, now that is important to not interrupt also. You don't want to interrupt it with a lot of things. Don't bring notes in, don't bring commentaries in, don't bring other things in. If there's anything that you can do to support this is before the translation event, have them read the entire book that they're going to work in to translate. I know that's not always something that we can do, and that's a luxury, okay, but that gives the wider context, and then they have that chapter for a more narrow context as well. If you gather a group on a Sunday night, for example, and you begin translation on Monday, and they're in the Gospel of Mark, have them read through Mark the night before and take in that wide context. Then that consume step is even a little bit stronger, a little bit better. But it's not the time to do a lot of learning. That comes later. It will not stick. It will be discarded, and what it will take with them is the consuming of that first chapter. You don't want to do that. You want it active, quick, and moving on to the next step. Please see the video on step number 2, consume. These two together are really important. All 8 steps work together, but these two have to be together for them to be effective. Thank you very much.